All right, as I said at the top of the show, President Biden just doesn't want to have a second date with Speaker Kevin McCarthy about the debt ceiling and spending cuts. Anyway, joining me now to talk about it and other things, Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. Byron, welcome back. Before I get to this second date or whether those two are going to go to a drive-in movie again, the grand jury up here in New York, the Alvin Bragg Trump grand jury, the so-called hush money, has been postponed for a month. It's not just Easter, it's a month. Now, kind of smells to me like this game's over and that Bragg's going to finally throw in the towel. But I know you're closely observing this. What do you think?
Look, I just think that it was ridiculous to start with. Everybody knew this was dumb. It was political. It was a show. And I think that finally caught up with Alvin Bragg, and he's got to go back to the drawing board. I think that's a good thing for the justice system overall.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. All right, I'm going to come back to Kevin McCarthy's letter to Joe Biden. This is not the old Joe Biden. This is the new Bernie Sanders Joe Biden. But, Byron, McCarthy emphasizes work requirements, workfare. Going back, we just did a riff at the top of the show. And I just was so happy to see that put in there for a lot of reasons. It was one of his key bullets. Discretionary spending and so forth, and clawing back unspent COVID. But workfare was so successful in the mid-'90s, Congressman, saved $100 billion. It would be even more successful today. The work ethic has declined. People are pessimistic about America's future. Work is part of the American fabric, the dignity of work. You and I have talked about this. And I'm saying hats off to McCarthy. But this stuff is very important, and I don't think Joe Biden should be able to ignore it.
No, he absolutely shouldn't be able to ignore it. Look, specifically the work requirements. This is stuff that Bill Clinton, congressional Democrats, congressional Republicans all agreed on and settled back in the 90s. Like, was good. It was good policy for the United States. Through the COVID era, a lot of these work requirements were done away with because of the COVID emergency. It's time to get back to basics. If you really need help in America, we can help you. But if you're able-bodied, you need to actually be putting in the time. You need to be getting into the workforce, and then we can talk from there. Now, to the bigger point, Larry, and this is important. Joe Biden's playing games, but this is a game that Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer set up 2 years ago. They had control of all branches of both houses of Congress and the White House. They could have avoided this debt ceiling mess last Congress. They chose not to, and they chose to set up this brinksmanship on purpose. I repeat, they set it up on purpose. They could have avoided it when they had complete control. They didn't do it. So Joe Biden needs to do the responsible thing, sit down, meet, and let's talk it out.
Biden keeps saying he wants a clean bill, no spending cuts. He say, I'll show me your budget, I'll look at your budget, but that's separate. But back in 2011, he was in charge with Barack Obama's administration. It was Joe Biden who negotiated with John Boehner. And it wasn't a bad deal, by the by. The debt ceiling went up. They got, in some sense, $1 trillion worth of spending caps. I know a lot of it faded out in the later years, but still, it wasn't a bad deal. So Joe Biden today is contradicting Joe Biden of only a few years ago in the Obama administration. I don't understand that hypocrisy. People have to call him on it.
Oh, listen, that's nothing new. He's been contradicting himself a lot, especially through this presidency. Yeah. And I just want to tell you, Larry, we got the receipts. We got the video clips. I think some of that stuff should start to come out pretty shortly. But at the end of the day, you are correct. Every sensible spending structure, reform structure that has happened in Congress has actually happened around the debt ceiling debate. So Joe Biden should not play games with the Treasury markets and the bond markets. He should be responsible as the president of the United States. But I will tell you this, House Republicans are not passing a clean debt ceiling. That ain't happening.
Yeah, that's what I've said, and that's what I hope. And I think McCarthy's letter was very good. I think he laid it out. I assume that you approve of the letter. But I just want to come back to the work requirements. Not only did they just cut the budget and the budget deficit, but they cut welfare. I mean, they're going from welfare to work that slashed poverty and slashed welfare. And that is such an important thing Progressives want the government to run your life. We want to put people back to work, conservative principles. And that's what I loved about seeing it in McCarthy's letter. It's going to put Biden on notice, it seems to me. This is a theme that we just cannot let go of.
No, look, you are absolutely correct. We need to do that. If you do it, it's twofold. One, it cuts government spending, but two, it actually helps with economic productivity. And in this stagflationary environment that we are unfortunately in right now, we need economic growth and economic productivity. We don't need government policy getting in the way of that.
Yeah, we just had a chart. It showed child poverty, overall poverty came way down. Child poverty came down after the Clinton-Gingrich deals. I mean, that is just so darn important. And, of course, the welfare rolls come down. I mean, right now you've got stuff like food stamps, Byron, and you know this. Food stamps are soaring and the unemployment rate's at a 50-year low. It's not supposed to be like that.
Yep. Absolutely. You're 100% correct. But listen, we're on the job. We are doing our homework as House Republicans.
Yes.
And it's not a thing where we're all discussing this stuff. We're having great dialogue with our speaker. He's going out there and leading our conference and leading the House, frankly. And the only thing we're asking at this point is for Joe Biden to just sit down and let's talk. Let's just do math and let's figure out a path forward.
You got it. Congressman Byron Donalds, thank you ever so much. Appreciate it, as always. All right.